Hello friends, welcome to my channel Spark FAQs. In this video we are going to focus about how to install Apache Hive on top of AWS EC2 instance. We know AWS EC2 instance is a virtual machine on cloud. Okay, so we are going to see how to install this Apache Hive. Apache Hive is one of the Hadoop ecosystem components used for kind of data warehousing capabilities. So I already created my EC2 instance for installing my Apache Hive component. If you don't know how to create a EC2 instance, please refer my previous videos in this playlist to know how to create a EC2 instance with a low cost. Okay, so we are trying to have a EC2 instance which is 2 to 3 rupees per hour. Okay, so let's get started. So what I'm going to do is basically I will go to this website called Apache hive.apache.org/downloads.html page. Okay, this is the page where we are going to look for the Apache Hive binary file. You can click on this link and then click on this mirror link. Then you will have multiple versions of Hive. I'm going to focus on Hive 3.1.2. So you see there is a source file for the component and also binary, which is a build software. Okay, so you can take this link and directly can download it with the EC2 instance. So let me connect my EC2 instance. So this is my EC2 instance. Take the IP address of public IP address of the EC2 instance, or you can use the DNS name also. So I will open my PuTTY utility. This is a utility which is used to connect your remote Linux servers. I'll change this IP address and save and then open. So I'm using a Ubuntu user because the OS operating system I'm using in EC2 instance of Ubuntu, where Ubuntu 8.04, which comes with the username called Ubuntu. So I am in the home folder, just pwd. My username is Ubuntu. What I will do is I am actually having a steps to there are set of steps to be followed. So I have the steps. Let me start downloading the binary we are going to download. This is the binary file, or you can think of as a Apache Hive component, the compressed file. So I will just download this file. So it will take some time to download it. Since we are using in the cloud, so internet will be little faster as well. So let's wait for few more seconds to get completed. Once this is completed, we need to uh, uh, extract this binary file, right, which is a tar.gz file. We have to extract this. So actually I'm maintaining all my softwares under slash ubuntu slash home slash ubuntu slash data making softwares. I will move this file to that location. So 90% completed. It's going to almost completed. Okay, so this is the file, right? So let me show you ls of my software location. I've already installed Hadoop, so we are continuing with the Apache Hive installation. So I will move this file to that location, the software location. You can use a command called move. So it is moved there. Okay, so now let's go to that location and extract the folder. So to extract the folder, you can use this command called tar -xvzf followed by the compressed file. Okay, so if you run this command, it will be extracted in the same location. So it is extracting the file. So extraction is done. You see there is a Apache -3.1.2 bin file. So that's a installation location of just extraction, right? So basically that is a location we are going to use it for the Apache Hive, which is a Hive environment home environment variable. Apache Hive is a home environment variable. So we'll just include this path for the Apache Hive home. So Hive home is the one of the environment variable, so that all your Hive command invoke when you set this environment variable. And similarly Hive configuration variable, these two are we are setting. This will be set in the profile file, right? So .bash rc. I'm using a nano editor, so I will open this. I'll go to the bottom of the file, then I'll copy this export command. I will paste it over here. To save the changes, Control O and enter. It is written. So Control X to come out of this nano editor. So now what you need to do is basically, so we just extracted the Hive component. There are a set of configuration we need to do to make Hive work smoothly. So one important thing is, so as I said, Hive is a data warehousing component, right? How it works is basically it provides a SQL layer for your data, which is in the form of file system, right? So the data available in HDFS, if you want to process using Hive engine, so you need to create a SQL layer for that. When I say SQL layer for it, you can create a table schema for your HDFS data, which is in files format. So then you can start querying your Hive table, right? So internally what it does is Hive maintains your data inside the warehouse folder. Okay, so there is a folder called /user/hive/warehouse. This is the location Hive maintains metadata mainly. Okay, so and also it maintains the data for the internal tables, right, or internal tables or managed tables. We will discuss when we discuss about Apache Hive. So this location basically Hive manages the data for the your table. Okay, all your metadata is stored in the something called metastore, which is will configure in the subsequent steps. This step is to create a Hive warehouse folder. We call this as Hive warehouse folder. So we have to do it in HDFS. For that we have to start our HDFS service. So let's start our HDFS. You can just say JPS to know whether the HDFS service are running. It's not running. So start dfs.sh is one of the command to start your HDFS services, or daemons you call, or you can call it as processes. So this is created. Okay, so yeah, it's running. Okay, let's create our directories. First we'll create one temporary directory in HDFS. So to create a directory in HDFS, the command is HDFS dfs and -mkdir is the command, and followed by the path we are giving. So inside root / means root path, right? In the root, and we are creating a folder called temp. So followed by, we also set the permission ch. We are also set the execute full permission to the path. So by using the command called -chmod. Similarly, we'll create a warehouse directory under the Hive user folder in HDFS. So this is the HDFS directory. It's not Linux directory. Just to make sure that, and also we'll set the permission for it. So this is also done. Then what we are going to do is, so we are going to configure the metastore. So as I mentioned, so Hive will use the actual data from HDFS, but schema, when I say schema, so basically that's table structure for your HDFS data maintained in the metastore. There is a component called metastore. So metastore basically a database which stores the Hive tables metadata. So it should be a some database, RDBMS database, so that it can hold your metadata in the form of tables. So by default, Hive comes with the embedded database called Derby. So it's okay for just to trying out, but when you go to production or any development environment, so that is not sufficient. So because it's only single instance embedded database system, so what we are going to do is we are going to use MySQL instead of Derby as a metastore. Okay, so for that we have to install the MySQL database server. So first what we need to do is to install a MySQL. We just update the Ubuntu repository folder. You can run this command called sudo apt get dot update. So it's almost up to date. So I'll just clear the session. So this is the command to install the MySQL server. Sudo apt get space install MySQL server. So I'll repeat, sudo space apt get space install space MySQL server. So this is the command to install the MySQL server. So I run it. So it is asking, do you want to continue, because what it says, after this operation 155 megabyte MB of additional disk will be used. I will say yes, continue. So it is going to install the MySQL. So look at one important thing. There are people asking. I actually notice some of the people while installing MySQL, they are getting some issues. So and also while configuring the metastore, they are facing some issues. So make sure that my steps is all with respect to the MySQL server 5.7. Okay, so if you install MySQL version 8, so there might be some changes in your steps to configure MySQL as a metastore. So what my steps are focused or based on the MySQL server 5.7. I just want to reiterate this. Okay, make sure you install we are just not giving any version. By default, the Ubuntu repository fetches the MySQL 5.7. Okay, so I just want to make sure. So let's create check the MySQL version to verify the MySQL installed. So for that, command is MySQL space hyphen version. So it says MySQL distribution of 5.7.34. Okay. So now let's go and set the password for root user. So MySQL comes with the user called root. So for that you will just set a password. For that you can run this utility or plugin by which comes by default. Sudo, what is the let me refresh the screen. So the command is sudo space MySQL underscore secure underscore installation. So I'll run this. So it says validate password plugins can be used to test passwords and improve security. It checks the strength of the password and allows user to set only those passwords which are secure enough. Would you like to set up a validate password plugin? I'll say no, because it will ask actually I cannot set my I want to keep it very simple password. So if we install the plugin, it will validate the strength of the password. So for now I'll just say no. Okay, now I need to set the password. I'm setting my password as data making. I repeat the password, data making. So do you want to remove anonymous users? I'll say yes. Would you like to remotely disallow root login remotely? I want to log in remotely. I'll say no. Do you want to remove the test database and access to it? I'll say no, let it be there. Sorry, I'll say remove. I'll say no. Now it says it is going to reload the privileges tables now. Okay, so I'll say yes. Now all this done. Okay, so I'll just go to MySQL hyphen u is a root hyphen it's basically we are trying to use a MySQL CLI. So my password is data making is not able to access it. Okay, so we need to basically update one table to reflect our password. So what I'll do is I say sudo MySQL. Okay, so it will go with the root password. So sudo permission, with the sudo permission it is going. So let's go on to change that. So basically what we need to do is there's a table called user. There we'll alter the password for this root user. Okay, so for that we just logged in as a root MySQL and try to select this MySQL.user. Okay, so now so you see the root password is empty for now. Okay, so we just update this with our password data making, so that we'll be able to log in with the root user with the password data making. So I altered this and you just fetch privileges command to reflect it, and then now again I will query the table. Now it updated the encrypted string of our password. Okay, so everything is good. Let's go and exit out of our MySQL CLI. I will refresh the terminal, clear this terminal. So we'll just check our system MySQL services to know the status of MySQL server. So it's active and running. So what we are going to do is if you want to stop and start, you can use these commands. This is to stop MySQL service and stuff like that. So we need to create a database called Metastore in our MySQL, and then we'll just create another user called Hive and map this user to the provide access to this user for full privileges, so that it can access all the databases. So what you need to do is we just again log into the CLI using the MySQL command. The password is data making. Now it is able to log in. This is good. Let's create database. Database name is Metastore. I will run this command. It is created. Use this command means when you say use space database name, we are navigating, changing to the database. In this Metastore database, we'll create this user called Hive. So create user Hive %, which means all the, we are not providing the any host name. So percentage reflect all the kind of wildcard, and identify the password data making. For this Hive user also I am setting password as data making. So then grant all privileges. Privileges on the all the means all the objects we are providing their privileges, grant privileges for this user Hive. Okay, that's once you set, then again flash the privileges, kind of refreshing it, and then exit out of your CLI, right? So let me clear my terminal session. Now what we need to do is there are few more steps we need to complete. So in Hive, so all the configurations are maintained in the component configurations are maintained in the file called hive site.xml. So you can find this file under this location. So you can, so this is the Hive installation folder. So I think we are in there, yeah. So say example we are in softwares folder, so get into this Hive folder, and then if you do ls, there is a folder called conf cdcnf conf. So you see there is a file called hive default hive default dot xml dot template. This file we can recreate as hive site.xml, and whatever the properties you need you can take it, or I'll just go and create this file directly and paste these configurations. Okay, so this is the new file. So what I'm putting is mostly what are the information I'm having it, I'll just inform you. So I'm putting MySQL JDBC connectivity, because whenever we create a table in Hive, okay, so when we create a database and tables in Hive, so what the Hive component stores all the metadata in the this MySQL database called Metastore. So it has to make the JDBC connectivity. For that we are mentioning the JDBC connectivity over here. So this is a database, this is a basically JDBC URL. So people who are well aware of JDBC connectivity, so this is the URL JDBC colon MySQL colon slash slash the host name, and you can also provide port name 3306, or you can just leave it as a default port number, and then this is the database, and we'll say SSL is false, and if it is not there we are trying to create it. Okay, it's already there, no problem. And you see there is a JDBC driver name you need to provide, which is a com.mysql.jdbc.driver. This is the driver for the basically the older version of you see, because you're using MySQL 5.7. People who are using MySQL 8.x version, the driver name might be different. Okay, so just make sure you use based on that. And the username is connection username is I, and password is data making. So and other few properties we are just setting it. Okay, so and there is a Hive server 2, which is one of the thread server. Okay, so that port number we are setting as 10,000. Okay, so this you might be using when you use for Hive thread server. I'm just giving this hint. Okay, so let's go and save this content for the hive site.xml, hive-site.xml file. Okay, so this is, copy this. Okay, all the content I pasted. Okay, Control O, enter, and Control X. Okay, so this file is created here. Okay, so once this is done, so let me go to the next step. Okay, and we need to download this JDBC jar. Okay, so the MySQL JDBC jar can be downloaded from here. Okay, so I'll just so if you go to this location, so here I'm trying to download this MySQL. Okay, so I'll just archive. versions I'm downloading, I guess. So if you look at here, I'm downloading the 5 point this is the JDBC version. Okay, MySQL JDBC connector, MySQL connector, JDBC connector version 5.1.49. so this is the one I'm downloading it. I'm just taken this link, so I'll use this link to download it. So again I will go to home direct, not this will go to home directory. I will clear the session, so it's basically I'm in home folder. Okay, so here I will just download this. It is okay, the MySQL connector jar is downloaded. So let's extract that file using this tar extraction. Okay, so this is done. Okay, so now we need to place our JDBC jar into this location called USR share Java. This is the default Java location. So if this location is not there, you can create it. So it's already there. Okay, so I will skip this directory creation steps. So directly you can go to the extracted folder of MySQL driver, MySQL connector or driver, whatever. So you see there is a connector file called MySQL connector -java.jar file. So from here we'll just copy to this one. We are renaming it to this the extension of file name. We are just renaming it. So we are just ignoring this the version. So when you copy, if you give this MySQL connector -jar.java.jar, so that version you can ignore it. So we just ran this. If you look at here, I'll just do ls for this USR share Java location. Then you will see the file name without the version number. That's what I'm trying to say that. Okay, so once that is created, we are good. The MySQL driver is installed. So the next step is to initialize the Metastore database. So for that there is Hive provides utility called schema tool and -init schema -db type. So what is the Metastore database you are using? What type of RDB bus? So you can pass this variable. Since we use MySQL, we are passing. If you are using Postgres, you can give Postgres like that. So let me run this command. So you can use the full command. So basically, since we use the Hive, okay, so Hive okay, so what we have done is, so source we did not bash rc file. We have to refresh the bash rc file. Okay. So that all our environment variables setting or will reflected. So now I will just go and run this command. And it is trying to, it will try to connect. It says now, okay, so this is my, it says failed to load the, okay, so it says failed to load the driver and class not found for the com.mysql dot driver dot driver. Okay, so it says this driver class is not found in the jar which I mentioned, right? So what I will do is I will go and keep this driver. Okay, so this driver is in the default Java location. I will also place this driver file, the MySQL connector Java file. This is the file, right? Keep it in the Hive lib folder as well. Okay, so that it will not cause any issue. So yeah, so this step we did it. So this step, placing this file inside the Hive lib folder, we did not keep, so that's why it is says. So let's run this command as well. I missed this command. So since it's this user only, I'm not running with the sudo permission. You can run, but I don't want to run this because it's in our user location. So I run this copy command. It is copied. Let's confirm it. Just go to lib folder of Hive. So where is this? Start with the M. So MySQL connector -java .jar. This file is here. So let's now run the schema initialization command. You can use up arrow to get the commands which you used previously. So let me run this. Okay, it says it is completed. Okay, so you see here, I'll just scrolling up. There is empty things. It is there. So you see here, it is able to connect the successfully with the MySQL JDBC connection. Okay, so all this are fine, and finally it says initialization script completed and schema tool completed. Okay. For me, it was throwing earlier when I tried it in my virtual machine, the local virtual machine. I got these errors, right? The common.base and preconditions class not found. If you face this issue, what you need to do is basically you need to search. You need to search for, there is a Gova file, Gova jar file, JRE file. This has to be you will find in the Hadoop location with the Guava jar version 2.7. Okay, but if you look at the in a Hive location, Hive folder, if you find the Guava version as 19, I was getting this issue, the class not found issue, when I tried it in my VM, in the local VM. So if you face that kind of issue, you can replace the in the Guava version 19 with the 27. That issue will go off. That's for you, but now for me it is not throwing the error, so I'll just continue with whatever version of Java Guava jar I have it. So you see, after I placed this, it was started working in my other VM as well. So and then if is any version thing, you can also upgrade this Metastore database file. Okay, so you can log in and then you can run this schema file. So I'm not going to run this since it is fine for now. And then now we need to start our Metastore service and Hive server 2 service, so that our Hive will be up and running. We can start creating a database, and we can just check what are the tables are available. So for that we just run this command with a no hop. So no hop is a utility to run your particular uh, 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 process in the background as a background process. So so this is one thing, and similarly Hive server 2 also will run it as a background process. So these two we made it. So now we'll just grub. So basically the Hive Metastore will run on 9083. We'll just grab this particular port is listening. Yes, it is listening. This is very important. You can just verify the metastore is running. Okay, so if netstat is not working for you, you can run this command sudo apt install nettools, which will install this netstat command, and open Hive CLI. So let's just enter Hive, which will open Hive CLI. Okay, now you see show tables. Now tables are there. Show databases. There will be a default database called default. It is there. Okay, so you can create own database tables, which we'll see in the coming of videos. And then you can also access this URL 10,002, which is Hive server 2 web UI. For this, you need to add your uh, this port number on the firewall. Okay, so let try to add this. So I'll put the public IP address, so which is basically just go and copy from here. This is my public IP address. Okay, so before, okay, let me try this. Try to access this Hive server 2 web UI. So it says so it is trying to connect, but it may not be, it will not be accessed because this port is not a it's not exposed to further public access. So what we'll do is we'll go to our security group. The security group I'm using is a data making SG. It's a database security group. Here inbound rule. For now I exposed the uh, uh, name node web UI and yarn web UI. So now I have to expose the other port number, which is 10,002 10002. For that you can just go and say edit inbound rule and then come to here customs TCP, let it be here put 1002 10,002 and this keep public access, and then save this rule. So once this is saved, now you go and type here, then you should be able to get the Hive server 2 web UI, right? So we were successfully installed Apache Hive on top of our EC2 instance. So please subscribe to my channel Spark FAQs, and we are adding more technical content with respect to Apache Spark. Okay, so I hope this video will be helpful for you. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.